I'm Matteo.
Hi, I'm Alina.
So together we founded Udalona. I have a 10 years e-commerce business, a 7-figure business. I've hired and fired many people. And for me, hiring was always a big pain because I never had the time to become a specialist in how to hire, how to interview, and the time to put that time aside from my business to go and focus on hiring the right people. So I feel that I never did the right job, and that costed me in making wrong hires. And sometimes it's about not hiring the right person, sometimes it's about not getting the right price that you wanted for. And then with Alina, we found an amazing pool of talent in Eastern Europe that made all the difference, not only because there are a lot of good people there, but also because we found the right process with somebody specialized in understanding how to run that process effectively and being able to find the great people. And with that, being able to grow my business, we went from a team of 2 people to a team of 7 people. And it's one of the first times that I'm really happy with a lot of my employees, like thinking like, wow, I wish I knew I could find people like this before. And so tell me some things about the process, and why are Eastern Europe people great for European companies? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm Alina, I'm a recruiter, and what I do is I'm helping people like Matteo, entrepreneurs, to find their perfect remote employees. The process is like this. We start from you explain me who exactly you need, and then I create and craft the job description that will sell your position in Eastern European market. So in the countries we are hiring in is Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Georgia, and all countries around Russia, so post-Soviet countries. Then what we do is we test them. So we go from around 300, 200 candidates who apply in different channels in Eastern Europe to the one who you need. So first we identify, then we test them, then we interview the top 10 from this test, and in the end you get 3 top candidates from all these candidates who applied on your position.
In the beginning, when I was hiring, so I read a few articles, a Harvard Business Review article by Matt Mullenweg, and I did improve my hiring process. I thought I was making progress, but the problem is it's very different when Alina, for example, is dedicating 100% of her time.
There are many advantages of hiring in Eastern Europe. The main ones I can talk about is, of course, time. If you're in Europe, time zone is almost the same or very similar. For example, if you hire in Russia, Russia is big, but the majority of people who apply are from Moscow, St. Petersburg, and basically this part, the central part of Russia. So the time zone is almost the same. It's not like in the Philippines. Do you remember, Matteo, what is the time zone in Philippines? It's very different.
So no, I do have an Filipino employee, and she stops work at around 1 p.m. Central European time. She could work until later, but with the years, she's been 7 years with me. And I found that people don't work as well at night. Like, you might find people that are willing to work at night, and unless those are like the so-called night owls, so people that already like to sleep at 3 a.m. and this kind of people. I've actually read a book about sleep that says there are some people that really is their kind of time, not naturally. But if it's not like that, and you make somebody work at night, usually they're gonna do a poorer job. So what I like is this on average in Eastern Europe, you have about a 2-hour plus time difference. So maybe if you start working at, let's say, 10, is there 12? So they can work, for example, from 12 to 8. So it's a reasonable time for them to work in. Usually you don't need an employee to have 100% overlap with your hours. So they can even start earlier, for example, and it wouldn't be a problem. So yeah, time has been a great difference, a great quality. The other thing I would say that is very important is amazing internet quality. I think Russians have better Russians in Eastern Europe, because I heard that there's a hub of internet that is there. So they have almost better internet connection than we have in Europe. So for an online business, that's really important, because we have started doing also a lot more video calls. on Zoom, of course, as everybody's doing nowadays. But this being able to see each other, see the faces and the expression, and also build a relationship as humans has really improved our work. So people with great internet connection has been a key thing of the new hires. Yeah, I always thought on salary, as the biggest motivational factor, which it is. It's a very important one. But then even the employees have started telling us, and the candidates have started telling us, no, flexibility is important for us. Oh, no, I'd love to work remote. Because, for example, a lot of the great jobs, even in Russia, are in the big capitals, like Moscow and St. Petersburg. Some people, they love nature. They're from some smaller town. They want to go there. They don't like the winters and they want to go south, either south inside Russia or outside. We have an employee in Georgia, for example, and she loves it there because the weather is amazing, but she's not from there. So, yeah, it's not only about the salary. It's about working. They love working for European companies. They actually like, this is a funny thing that also I wouldn't imagine, is that for them receiving in euros is better because they don't trust their currency as much. In the case of Russia, it has devaluated a lot in the last 5 years or more. And so they prefer receiving euros. They feel safer that way. And there are other advantages that you can offer. For example, remote work. Obviously, a lot of people have been obligated to do remote work during the crisis now, and they love it, and they want to continue doing that.
Yeah, sorry, but what about the education of your employees? It's also a great point, no? Because
sure.
Education in Russia is quite strong, as well as languages. So you can find not only the people who speak English, but also people who speak other languages like Spanish, German, all the European languages, basically. So this is very great. I think some of your employees speak more than one language, right?
For sure. We have one that speaks German and perfect English. German, like translation level. He even does some translations. Then we have another that speaks Spanish. I think is
one French. We just hired last week.
Yeah, exactly. One speaks French
and Spanish.
And it's very unexpected. I wouldn't imagine there were so many people in Eastern Europe. Of course, like in general, there's a lot of people that don't speak good English, and you might, if you need English in the company, but we can find those people that speak English. Some of them speak great. One girl lived in the US for a year, has really good accent. The other girl has very, very good English, but not perfect accent. So you find a little bit vary. So depending on the job, you might put some more emphasis in one thing or another. Language might be the most important thing or not. The salaries are amazing. It's like compared to Europe, is much, not only is much less in Europe, but the other thing I love is that they're happy with the salary you give them. They can be happy with that, and it can be easy to motivate them by growing their salaries. It's easy to grow them inside of your company, and they'll be super faithful to you because you're giving them a good job, a flexible job, and a salary that later. So I like them to start at a not so high salary so I can see how they go and everything, and then as they become better, I like to give them a higher salary and then bonuses. And I think it's easier to find a person like that. The Matt Mullenweg, the CEO of WordPress.com, and he was saying that he has one of his best guys from the beginning of WordPress in Siberia, in Russia, actually, coincidentally. In his podcast, he was talking about it. And he's saying one of the reasons he thinks this guy is still with him is because there's not a lot of amazing opportunities in Siberia. So you can give these people opportunities that they're super happy with because they're better of the opportunities they have available. And you're super happy because you have a very motivated, very good employee that doesn't cost you as much as hiring locally.
And also want to stay with you long term. So that's why we hire mostly full time. And it's better for you because you don't need to look, for example, let's take an example of Upwork, right? You can find freelancers there who can work for you like long term, but it will be very difficult to move to full-time them because they prefer to have different clients, to have like a portfolio. And then you had an experience, right, with the Upwork when you wanted to hire already, but the person didn't really.
Yeah, so I actually developed even a manual on how to hire great people on Upwork, and it can be an amazing place to find talent. But what I find there is that when you need a specialist job that doesn't need even like 20 hours a week, if it's less, and it's a temporary position, you might prefer Upwork because you can look at their reviews, you can see their past history. But the problem is that the best people, they have a lot of people asking them to join job proposal. So there you make a job proposal and you can either wait for people to apply for it, or you can go after the best ones and invite them to apply for a job proposal. And the best people have so many invitations that they already have fully booked their job. So you might start with them 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, but then if you want to move to full time, first of all, they're gonna want a salary equivalent to what they're getting in per hour. The salaries are much higher usually than if you do it full time. Usually no, they're a lot higher. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that they might have clients that they've been working with for years and they don't want to drop those clients. So I actually never been able to convince one of the great people that I found on Upwork to come with me full time. But I did find amazing people there. So it's still a great place to find, especially if you want not full time. And so we specialize in full time because we think you can find amazing people that you can train, that can stay with you for a long time, learn how your business works, and really help you take your business to the next level. So this is the kind of people we've been finding and has been making a really good difference in the business.
And what you can say about the process, how was it for you as an entrepreneur when I hired for you?
So in the initial part of the defining the position, actually I find it that it was way more important. Before I could only think with myself, I'm not a 100% patient person in this, so I would do something, I'll sit down and do it. But having somebody to discuss, to ask you difficult questions from your experience with other positions, then you can ask questions that are, oh, I didn't think about that. Truly getting out of me, who do I really want? Because sometimes you're looking for who you can settle for because you don't think you can get that person that you really want. But then by saying those, like, you know, okay, if I could get anybody, I would love a person that has this. And then we found that person. And so I think it was super important, that part of defining the job. And then the other thing is that when I saw you, for example, going through 300 CVs, I've never been able to do that because I don't have the time for it. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the attention to detail to go and look at all the details of the CV and see what are the things that are good. And I also love that, so depending on the job position, the test, so we found that was very useful to develop a specific test to test the ability. Let's say, for example, you're going to hire somebody to, I don't know, be a speaker, right? It's not a job there, but to speak to people on the phone, like a salesperson. Yeah. So you could even design a test where you ask them to record a sales pitch. You tell them a text, for example, about the company of like 3 paragraphs, and you say, okay, now record a 1 minute, 2 minute sales pitch, and then you can see their English quality, you can see how they create the phrases. So, and then, but the problem is administering those tests. It seems easy, but it's not, because then you have to tell them, okay, you do the test, and then they answer, but wait, but this, and then they send you an audio, wrong format. How do you organize it? And so basically you've done, for example, one of the latest ones that was really important. So we had 200 applicants, was it?
Yeah, it was 200 applicants.
And then 50 people did the test.
65.
Yeah, and it was like a 1 hour test, a difficult one.
Yeah.
And then you corrected the test. So I gave like the answers that I thought it was right. And also the variations is very important because, you know, some person might not do it 100% right, but might have a logic that is interesting, that is worth digging into.
So and then I create kind of Excel with all the answers where you can see how the person did on the cover letter. I evaluate, of course, cover letter, and then CV aspect, how was their experience, what I liked about it, how it's structured, then as well as testing, of course, how they did on the test. And then make a conclusion if they're gonna be invited to the first round of interviews with me. The second round is with the entrepreneur. And so this is very important.
I actually think like there's even small things that are important. Like, for example, testing the person's internet before an interview. And the pre-interview is important for many reasons. One is, of course, I love, for example, the things that you were doing, asking if you had another job, do you have any other job offers, or if you got another job offer in 1 year, what would you do to kind of feel if that person is really looking for something long term, or they're just taking the job because they need something?
Yeah.
No,
There are
and
many
then
things that could happen. For example, if the person is already working and wants to change the current position, the current employer can use this situation that they are leaving the job. They can use it for, well, basically to say,
counter-offer.
for the counter offer. And then I also prepare the candidate. If it's really perfect candidate, I prepare what was going to happen, so they know that it could happen, and when it happens they understand that this is international company, so it has more advantages, and to remember why they want to change the position. Because, for example, now happens a lot during the crisis that many companies don't pay salaries and or delay them,
on time,
for example. And then it's a big disadvantage for many people, because they have families, because they want a stable life, and that's what also offers them the remote work, which is great, I think.
Let me ask one more question. So how long is the hiring process?
So the hiring process usually takes around 10 days to 3 weeks, more or less. But it could happen that it takes longer if you have more complicated position. For example, you're looking for someone with experience in Salesforce, let's say, and Salesforce doesn't exist in Russia, so that's why we could take a little bit more time. But still, if I took this position, means that we will find this person, basically. So
is it like before you take a client, you make sure that you think that is the goal is reachable of who they want to find?
For sure, I make sure, because I don't want to waste anyone's time, not mine, not yours. And then the goal of the whole service is to save your time. So I think it's very important to make sure that it's exactly who you're looking for. If you got interested in the service, you got some questions, you can apply for example, you can just write me for an appointment in WhatsApp, or apply here down in the website, and then we talk about this. We talk who you need. I will consult you. I will answer all your questions about hiring in Eastern Europe. I'm sure you have many. So and then let's catch up.